note, just a couple of months ago, the Biden administration's Assistant Secretary for Health, Rachel Levine, all but said that the science surrounding, quote, gender-affirming care was, quote, settled, specifically, and the quote was, quote, there is no debate in the medical community about the medical or scientific validity of gender-affirming care. And gender-affirming care is a euphemism for all sorts of policies that with young children can involve puberty-blocking drugs, that can involve, at extreme levels, surgeries that permanently alter their reproductive capacity, their capacity for the rest of their life. Do you think it's accurate that questions such as that are settled science and no one is even allowed to ask what are the consequences of an 8-year-old child being given severe drugs that alter their physiology for the rest of their life?
Senator Cruz, I think you are talking about an area that is quite complex. I think gender is actually, I think, complex in ways that are surprising to many people. And my view on this matter is that fundamental to this topic is respect for the individuals who are involved. And I would keep coming back to that as
okay, but you're not answering my question. Do you believe it is settled science and thus it is unacceptable to ask questions about the impact of a child of administering severe, life-altering drugs at very young ages? Do you think that is settled science and nobody is allowed to question it?
Senator, that's an area that's, again, very complex. It's not one that I have deep personal familiarity with. It's one that I would want to learn a lot more about.
Okay, so you're refusing to answer that. But like, it ought to be really easy. Of course, you can ask questions about what's the impact of giving life-altering drugs to kids. That is not a complicated. I can tell you, if I go home to Texas and I get 100 people in a room, I promise you 99 of them will say, well, of course we ought to ask a question about that. I find it amazing that you're nominated to be a cabinet-level position as the president's science advisor, and you're not even willing to acknowledge that asking questions about the long-term physical and emotional health to a child, asking those questions is okay.
Senator, I think you're talking about some issues that certainly require a lot more thought and
okay, unfortunately, what you're demonstrating here is that politics is more important than science because they're obvious science and medical questions. Let's shift to another topic.